Since I moved to Northern Ireland, there's so many benefits, there's so many differences with living in England, and I've been able to share that video telling you some of the things that I found out and that are good about living in Northern Ireland. But my opinion will not be balanced if I refuse to share some of those things that are giving me difficult times living in Northern Ireland. That is why in this video I'm going to be sharing some of the things that I do not like living in Northern Ireland. So once again, my name is Bimbo. I'm a Nigerian trained pharmacist and a UK care assistant. And if today is your first time coming across my channel, thank you so much for joining. Do not hesitate to like and smash the subscribe button. Update about the care home that recently sponsored 10 care assistants in Northern Ireland. If you remember in that video, I told you that I met a colleague and he told me 10 of them were recently sponsored to start working in that care home. And I mentioned in that video that the guy is Indian. So he promised to contact the employer and reach out to me to give me feedback, which he has done. He told me about an agency and he said the agency actually has needs. They have vacancies, but not in Northern Ireland. He said the agency said their vacancies are currently in Scotland. And just right then, I knew we're talking about pounds. If you're in the UK, you know what I'm talking about. So I asked him that, is it free? So it's quite unfortunate that I wouldn't want to go ahead with this particular plan. Initially, I thought I was going to be able to, let you reach out to me and link you up with the guy. But unfortunately, I won't be able to do that. But the first thing I want to talk about is transportation. Before I moved here, I used to watch YouTubers that are from Northern Ireland say, oh, transportation. I've watched Nanelle, I've watched quite a number of them that would say, transportation system is nothing to write home about here. My dear, by the time I now moved to Northern Ireland, I now live in the village part of Northern Ireland, in the rural areas of Northern Ireland. It's worse. If somebody living in Belfast is complaining about the transport system, now imagine me living, some places I go to work like 1 hour drive as an agency care assistant, and when they ask me, oh, where did you come from? And I tell them I'm from this place. They don't even know the place. Like some of the locals don't even know what this place I live in is, where it is in Northern Ireland. So I live in a village of people in Belfast don't know this place, only few of them. People in the city don't know this place I live, only very few of them, because it's a village between two towns. I should have written my driving test since way back in England, but I misplaced my BRP, and as such I could apply for my provisional license. But after we renewed and I got another BRP, I was able to apply for my provisional license, and then I wrote my theory driving test, which I passed at one attempt. Now I have been looking for an instructor. No automatic instructor in this place. I have looked everywhere, I've searched everywhere. Oh my goodness. After we asked almost everybody that we know, 2 of them gave us a number. Same number, 2 of them gave us. Different people gave us number, and the number happens to be the same number. I even went online. I called people. Oh, sorry, unfortunately, I train manual. I don't do automatic. There's only one. One of them told me there's only one woman who teaches automatic here in this region, and that happens to be the number that we have. She's giving me our own schedule, which is not working with my schedule. Regardless of me telling her that I have childcare issues and all that, she doesn't care. Because it's either people are too many, she's like hot cake, and I'm beginning to wonder, why are others not teaching automatic here? Most of the places I have to go, I need to be able to drive there or get a bus there, because you can see somewhere now it's 10 minutes drive away, but if you check to walk to trek there, it's like 3 hours. Or if you need to take a bus, the bus is like over 1 hour, and it's just 10 minutes drive away. Buses are not frequent at all. I was trying to look for the bus that would take me for the training, because my instructor told me she wasn't available at my own availability. She gave me availability, and I was trying to look for buses that would take me there at that time. Basically, there's only one bus on this road, on this our road, in this our village, or this place, this environment, there's only one bus that comes about twice a day, just 2 times a day. You just need a car. It's not luxury, it's a necessity if you live, especially in this part of Northern Ireland. That has given me headache. Living in England was so easy. I had a bus stop just 3 minutes walk away from my house, and the bus was so frequent, about every 15 minutes. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's not the same everywhere in Northern Ireland, but if Nanelle that lives in Belfast complains about bus being not frequent, then I want to assume that it's almost the same everywhere, except you haven't lived in England, you don't know how it runs in England. I've been able to take bus once when we lived in Airbnb. We went to Gotting Park, and for an adult, they charged me about £3. I was surprised because that was a bit on the high side. In England, everywhere you go is like £2 max, £2. Some places you even tap, you collect change on top of your £2. In the evening times from 6 p.m, bus fare is £1. And that leads me to the second point, which is the cost of living here. We were made to believe back then in England that cost of living in Northern Ireland is cheap. It's cheap. You people are moving to Northern Ireland, you're lucky. You'll be spending less. Please, apart from the fact that you're not paying council tax and water bill, every other thing is not cheap. Especially living in the village, it is not cheap. Talk of African food, if you're lucky to have like African Caribbean store around you, it's not as cheap as living in some parts of England. And talking about accessibility, not as accessible. You don't really have African stores around you, that is one. Talking about charity stores, in this my village now, we have no charity store. We don't have any grocery store apart from just one convenience store that's just a minute walk away from my house. A convenience store, a Spar, and the things are a bit more expensive than going to the store. If I have to go to the store, then we have to travel to a town, a closed town, to buy something from Lidl or to buy something from Tesco. Talking from the perspective of somebody that lives in the village in Northern Ireland, I don't know if this is the same across Northern Ireland, but I want to believe that it's somewhat similar, because I shop in Belfast and there are just 2 African stores in the whole of Belfast. Just 2 Nigerian African stores. Maybe there are other Caribbean stores, but proper Nigerian African store, there are only 2. And you see, the competition isn't that great, because these 2, I can see they have the monopoly of pricing and all that. Spend more on transportation, on moving around, because there are no buses. Talking about charity stores, there are a few charity stores in neighboring towns. I mean, about quite a few of them in neighboring towns, but guess what? Not many of them sell furnitures. There are just 2 that sell furnitures. The closest town to us, which is about 10-15 minutes drive away. And these furnitures, because I've only been there to look for furnitures, they are very expensive. So we got like a single mattress from a charity store for £120. We lived in England, we bought mattress and bed for my daughter, single, £50. And it still had good life, good use left in it. We used it for the 1 year that we lived, even over 1 year that we lived in England, and the mattress and the bed was still good. Talking about Facebook Market, they are also more expensive as well. I'm talking, because I've lived in England, especially the northern part of England, and now I'm living in the northern part of Northern Ireland, because Northern Ireland today have northern parts, southern parts. I'm living in the northern parts, and I can tell you that comparing these 2 places I have lived, Northern Ireland is more expensive to live in. So one of our friends that lives in Belfast was going to change his car. Do you know that he eventually went to England to buy the car because there was a difference of £3,000? So he had to travel to England to get the car and then to bring the car in, and transportation, logistics, everything cost him £300. So he made like a profit of £2,700. Things are on the high side here. Now, talking about the kids, oh my goodness. It reminds me of living in England. My daughter used to attend school from 7:30 to 6 p.m. The school breakfast club and after school club was sponsored by Greg's, all free of charge. She used to even bring food home. She would bring like carrots, a bag of carrots home, bring donuts home and all that. And I didn't have to worry about if my child had breakfast at home before leaving for school or not, because I was sure she was going to have toast and some other things at school. And then she would have free school lunch, free school meals. I didn't have to bother about, paying for anything. But coming down here to Northern Ireland, school meals are not free. Maybe in the village that I am, maybe it's not the same in the city, but I think it is the same in the city. Children, regardless of their class, my son is in P1, his school meal is not free. So I pay £2.60 per day for each of them. That's more than £5 for school meal every day. And one of them is just 4, the other one is 6 years old. Back in England, they had free school meals. And I remember when they were going on holiday, they wrote it there that you have to provide pencil, provide crayon and all of that. It was totally strange to me. So that's another expense. If I have to pay 4 days, I pay for their school meal 4 days. Monday through Thursday, I pay £20, about £20 plus. You pay charges for late payments, which is like emergency booking. So all these are like more expensive for the parents, and it makes living in Northern Ireland not attractive. The only way your children can have school meal free of charge is if you are entitled to benefits and you have a link to click and then go and check your eligibility, your child's eligibility for free school meal. That's if you're taking benefit from the government. Other than that, if you are a no public fund person just like us, your children cannot take free school meal. So throughout my stay in England, I have had to go to the GP for appointments. Like if you go late, if you register late, like you check in late, honestly, they go keep your name. But this place, like in England, you are getting there, your appointment is for 10 a.m. You get there like 9:55, you sign in, you sit down, you check the time, 10 o'clock, they are calling your name. But in Northern Ireland, in Northern Ireland, I've had appointments, you go there for like 10 o'clock in the morning. Nobody calls you. You check in or you get there early. Nobody will call you 10 o'clock or you are still sitting down. 10:30, you are still sitting down. So most times I have to sit down for more than 30 minutes before they call my name, which is not so nice because I used to think that there wasn't African time here. African time there in Northern Ireland. 30 minutes, you are still sitting down. 30 minutes past your appointment, you are still sitting down. 45 minutes, you are still sitting down. I'm not sure it is everywhere. Remember that I'm just talking from what I have experienced in Northern Ireland. Of course, I haven't lived everywhere in Northern Ireland, but judging from where I live here in Northern Ireland, most of the houses are not nicely padded. Like sometimes our neighbors are snoring at night and we are hearing in our bedroom. Our neighbors are walking up the stairs and we are hearing their foot. I remember living in England. We don't even know when it's raining. When you open that's when you discover that, so it's been raining all this time. You don't even know that somebody's walking past your window in this place. You will hear as the cars are moving up and down. So most of the houses are not very well padded. So you can hear, your neighbor. You have to be very careful. I remember that when we moved here, our neighbor came to meet us that their son plays games at night and that we might hear noise, that we shouldn't worry, that we should please just bear with them because he's excited when he's playing his games. They have some idea of what you are doing in the house if you're allowed. This one, I am struggling. Living in England, we already made a very nice community for ourselves. Community of Nigerians, community of people of same race, same culture, same interests, or let me say similar interests. And we knew how we were doing our things, helping one another with childcare if need be. I made really good friends. I could work to a great extent. I was working 4 shifts. Conveniently, I had the support system. Now, moving here, by the way, the Northern Ireland is like 6% immigrants. 6% of people that were not born in either Ireland or England live in Northern Ireland. That's a really small percentage. So We don't have that community that we enjoyed in England. We're just all by ourselves. Great that our neighbors are nice. They're Irish and very nice people, lovely people. But then, you know, you still don't feel the way you would have felt if you had people like that you speak the same language, you can be vulnerable to or with, you know, you can be much more open to. And, you know, you can say, oh, keep my child. So I only get to work very limited shifts. I'm like a stay-at-home mom living here. Me that used to be workaholic. Now I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't like that. And that means I'm broke. I'm broke living in Northern Ireland. And for the kids again, because this is a village, there are less amenities, there are less social amenities. I remember back in England where we lived, we had like Hula Baloo, which is a theater where people can come, you know, see some movies, see some stage plays and all of that. But it also had like a section where children could come in to play. There was a playroom that they changed the settings every season. By now they will be setting it up for Halloween. So every time my kids were, you know, disturbing and all that, I'll just say, oh yeah, let's go to Hula Baloo. Bam, we're there, and they're always excited to go there. You know, they had books where kids could sit down and read, paintings and all of that. It was a very brilliant place to go. And just about 5 minutes walk was a gym and a pool where we could enroll the kids for swimming classes. If you like nightlife, if you like social amenities, if you're a social butterfly, if you like bubbly areas, don't come to, especially this part that I live in Northern Ireland. Maybe you could go to the southern part, but of course not this place. So yeah, we don't get that. The kids were on holiday and I was thinking, where would they go to? Even the park, forest, or you take them to the farm. With these few points of mine, I hope I have been able to convince and not to confuse you that there are some things I do not like living in Northern Ireland. But do I have a choice? No, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. But then I'm getting used to it. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in my next video.